No worries. Okay, we are live.
Okay,
Okay, good stuff.
thank you.
So
Thank you.
how is South Africa?
I think under the circumstances, under the global
Yeah,
pandemics, we are
yeah.
okay. I think
Okay,
there's been grace. We are grateful for
yeah,
the grace thus far.
yeah,
Quite humbled. Yeah. I
yeah.
think we're just seeing the continuous hand of God. Yeah.
Awesome,
And how is Kenya?
awesome. No, Kenya is fine. I mean, we don't have a lot of cases. Interesting enough, they keep on
Wow.
going down and down,
Wow.
and we want to just remain that way. I mean, what's being
Wow.
reported it shows that um, it's a bit low. It's actually low.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
So
the good
yeah.
report to
So
hear. It's encouraging.
exactly. So we're really, really hoping that it stays that way,
Mhm.
and we keep on, just thanking God every day that
Mhm.
we are not so bad. Yeah, yeah. But we are
Wow.
fine. Thank you. Yeah. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I must start by just thanking you for the opportunity. I'm really
Yeah,
grateful to be on your platform. I'm humbled.
yeah,
I'm encouraged. I believe you're doing
yeah.
amazing work, not only in
Thank
Kenya, but the world at large. So I'm really
yeah,
grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Oh, you're welcome, Precious. So we'll give the people around 4 minutes. We'll start about 2:08 or
Okay.
2:10 there. So allow me
Okay.
to just play a video for everyone. So for everyone who is coming in, thank you so much for coming in. This is our show every Tuesday, our business show every Tuesday. Today we are joined with by Precious Nyarambi from all the way from South Africa, talking about the power of execution. And I mean, as we talk, you will see why why this is important for you in your business, in your life to do that. As we wait to start, kindly allow me to just play a video from one of our cohorts that we did a business for last year.
Hi, my name is Deborah from Jewelry Hub Kenya, and as you can tell from the name itself, we deal with jewelry. Our jewelry is mostly African inspired, and this is because Africa is our main source of inspiration. I am African and I am proud to be African, and I love our African culture, and hence I decided to showcase the culture through jewelry products. My other source of inspiration are foreigners. Different people from different parts of the world come to visit Africa because of its beautiful scenery, our different animal species, and also to get to taste our culture. And hence, what better way, fast, cheap, and easy way to take Africa back with them than through jewelry pieces? My main clients are women. This is because women love to accessorize and women are spontaneous. Jewelry Hub Kenya is fulfilling the need of beauty and the need of uniqueness. Men also could be our clients, men who love to buy women gifts, and during occasions such as Valentine's Day, anniversaries, and birthdays, men are usually at a tough spot, and hence men, Jewelry Hub Kenya got you. The main reason you should purchase your jewelry from us is because, first and foremost, our jewelry is very unique, elegant, and beautiful, and you can prove that through the pieces I'm wearing, which are from us, that are very beautiful. The other reason you should buy your products from us is because our products are very light, since they are made out of brass metal, which is a very light metal, and hence you can move around all day as you wish without having to worry about heavy metal on you. The other reason you should buy your jewelry from us is because we make sure that our pieces are allergy free. We remove all impurities that could cause any allergic reactions for any skin type, and hence they are allergy free. Our main source of ideas are our clients. We ask them what they'd like and what best suits their style, and hence we convert their idea into reality. We also come up with our own ideas and turn them into jewelry pieces, and also art pieces. We also steal ideas from art pieces and convert them into various unique jewelry pieces. Our brass metal, we purchase it from our specific vendor that we have and take it to our craftsman whom we provide with designs that he should craft and also come up with the different quotes that he should also apply to our designs, and hence there goes our jewelry. Jewelry Hub Kenya got you for all your beauty needs, all your jewelry needs to make that look complete. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Deborah. Deborah was part of our cohort last year. He does jewelry. I mean, if you're looking into doing to buy jewelry for Valentine, please look for Jewelry Hub on Facebook and you can promote them. Very wonderful lady, created the business from scratch, and she's been able to do a lot of things in the market in Kenya and hopefully outside Kenya. So yeah, thank you so much. 2:08, we can begin. Asanteni sana. Welcome again for another Tuesday. I mean, I always look forward for this session. As I told you last time, we keep on just advancing and advancing in terms of what we're discussing. And as I said, I mean, we do this so that we can improve on our businesses and our lives, and also in all aspects of our lives. I mean, someone asked me, why don't we just talk about business issues? But I said, you know what? The well-being, it all starts in the mind. The mindset of a business person has to change. And that's the reason why we do this. So wherever you're from, please just comment, tell me where you're from, say hi to us, please, just to encourage us. It's always good to do that. And today's topic will be the power of execution. Why intention is not enough. You have a lot of dreams. You remember we started again. I keep on adding all these topics. We had visions, we had dreams, we had how to move forward. But now we're talking about how do you execute? And why are you not executing? We don't want to reach again in December 2021, and most of us have not executed our beautiful visions that we had. So today we are actually joined by Precious Nyarambi, a very, very wonderful sister. I met her in 2020, yeah? In Egypt.
Yeah,
We were together in Egypt. And that's how we formed a bond. I mean, I have attended some of the sessions, spoken in some of the sessions she has in South Africa. And I'm here again with her, and she has a lot of information that she can share. Precious, welcome to Kenya.
Thank you so much. I'm quite humbled and honored by the opportunity to be on your platform. Really grateful. I really think you're doing amazing work in Kenya and the African world at large, and any other person who gets to tune in and listen to your wisdom. I'm really quite encouraged by the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Precious. I mean, wonderful work. We'll learn about your work, what you're doing in South Africa. I think you're also doing a great job. Thank you so much for accepting to come to our show. So Precious, tell us about yourself and your organization.
Precious, I'm Precious Nyarambi, born Zimbabwean, living in Zimbabwe, living in South Africa, which has become my second home. I'm passionate really about seeing people's lives transformed, people's lives empowered, and living their full best lives now. I believe in the people that will leave an impact, the people that are intentional about changing the status quo. I believe in people building entities and organizations that last longer. So in that, I run an organization. Actually, there are about 3. We started off with a cleaning company that offers commercial, residential, and industrial cleaning services. And then we realized that there's more that can be done in terms of training the women that we're trying to work with. So we train and develop them and absorb them in the cleaning company. We have Vessels of Virtue, which does a lot of outreach work and training and development that's more on the education space. So we also work with entrepreneurs through some of the accelerators, masterclasses that we're running. And we would like to say that we are growing in that area as well. And because we really believe in sustainability, we have introduced quite a number of initiatives through Vessels of Virtue. And that includes a magazine that features amazing leaders, entrepreneurs at large, and social entrepreneurs. We also have yearly planners that we introduced this year. We have a beauty range of products that we are almost done with, mainly because we really believe in the sustainability, running organizations that are sustainable and not really dependent, because sometimes getting funding is difficult. So until you get to that place, you need to make sure that you are running things that are sustainable. So those are some of the things we've introduced, and the awards, which is our March initiative that we want to be global awards. We are launching that officially in March, where we are going to identify people that are doing amazing work across Africa. I'm Pan-African. I believe that Africa has so much to offer. We are great. We are dynamites in our own way. And I believe in us telling our own African stories, applying our own theories, our own practical examples to African problems. So yeah, in a nutshell, I'm an author as well. I write books, practical books of challenges that entrepreneurs face, that I've also faced along my own personal journey. Yeah, in a nutshell, in an IT company, yeah, that's still growing.
Wow, Precious, this is amazing. I mean, 4, 5 companies and all these things you do. How do you juggle all this together? You know, because that's a lot.
You know, I get that a lot from a lot of people, that Precious, that's a lot of things to do. But there are some biblical principles that I read and I feel like, okay, maybe I'm wrong, or I don't know. But, you know, I'll give one example of one verse in the book of Proverbs that says, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty comes in. And sometimes I look at those things and I'm like, okay, I'm coming from a poor background, and that should not be my destiny. I should change the status quo. And what is it that I can do now to change that status quo? Who do I collaborate with so that the narrative changes? And along the way, who do I empower? So some of the things I don't get to do them all by myself. I get other people, different stakeholders along the way to help. And in the process, we are also empowering others.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, one of the things I realize about Africa, we are so diverse. We're able to do a lot of things, you know, and because of what you say, we know where your destinies come from. You've looked at your past also. We were talking about, you know, how not to look at your past and move forward, you know, in our previous programs. But you doing all these things is amazing. And as you said, of course, you actually outsource some of the things as we go on. And we'll keep on talking about that. Now, in terms of doing all this, Precious, how do you execute everything, you know, well? Do you say that sometimes if you're doing 2 or 3 businesses, you realize that one business might not do well? Or how do you execute it? What has helped you to execute all these things?
So for me, I feel that there's the biblical verse that says, write the vision down and make it plain, right? And at the appointed time, it will come to pass, though it tarries. It's Habakkuk, right? So for me, every time when I read that verse, it means so many things to me. I write it according to the way that God gives me to run it. I execute it with others, you know. I write it and then others take it up and run with it with me. They then take my heart of how God deposited it in me. And when I analyze that, I always feel like that's the execution part. Because then mostly I always say to one of my friends that I'm more of a strategist. I get a strategy and then I tell her, then you get to execute. You get to do what I need to do. Then we do it together. So you take in my heart in executing it. You take my heart in, if it's designing, you take my heart. So I believe that after coming up with a compelling vision, it's always important then to execute. So then execution it becomes the discipline of getting things done. After we have wrote them down, do we have the courage? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the tenacity to then run with the things that God has told us to do? And I also believe that in part of the execution, the word of God says that God doesn't give us things that we don't have grace for. The things that we run, the things that we do, there is absolutely grace for us to run that. So I believe that inherently there's also, and spiritually, there's this capability that you just need to tap into to be able to actually execute what God wants you to do. He has trusted you enough to run with it. So I don't run the things alone, like I said earlier. So I believe that execution is the discipline of getting things done, is the carrying out of a plan, order, a course of action. It encompasses the big idea that you have, the strategy, the consistent strategy, the effective communication to everyone involved, the actions and regular reviews. So that includes a lot of different stakeholders that you are continuously communicating with, engaging, so that things are executed better. And where I feel like it's not my area of strength, I assign and say, I think do this, help me with this. I outsource, and then it makes the execution slightly easier.
Absolutely. I love that. We must have missed the points that you've just given out on what execution is. Would you mind just repeating them slowly? Yeah.
Okay. So it is the discipline of getting things done. Just
exactly
that heart of just getting things done. I know many people, even the book of James fascinates me. So sometimes I read the word of God and I'm that crazy one that reads, and I sometimes just laugh, because it says, don't be hearers only, but be ye doers of the word. So it is the discipline of getting things done. Many people can dream, but few people can execute. Few people can get things done. So that discipline that I have said, I want to do this, you intentionally, actively do it. It's that discipline of getting things done. It's the carrying out of a plan. When you have something that you need to do, when you've done a review of things that you need to change in your organization, is that the carrying out of a plan, the carrying out of an order, the carrying out of a course of action. It also encompasses the big idea, the strategy, the consistent, effective communication to everyone involved, the actions that are required, and the regular reviews, so that everyone is on the same board.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Precious. I like something you say, is the discipline of getting things done. Do we have an issue with discipline? Do you find a lot of entrepreneurs or even individuals having a lot of problems in terms of discipline?
I think just that word being there, I went there over and over again, and I said it's really the discipline, because you are forced to be disciplined when things don't go according to plan. Sometimes you have the right attitude, you have the right idea, you have things you maybe, but just the discipline of it, like when you have to. I remember one of the few conversations we had in one of the programs we did at Gibbs, where it was actually a challenge to actually say, I'll wake up daily and do something towards my endeavor, towards my enterprise. That discipline of saying, okay, I commit to waking up at 8 a.m. and doing this. I commit, like Ivy, I commit to weekly do this as an incubator, as a business hub for entrepreneurs. I commit to doing this. It really takes a lot. So it's really a discipline, the commitment of committing to doing something, regularly. It's such huge discipline that I think along the way sometimes we lose it when things don't go according to the way we want them to be. Sometimes you were anticipating to be getting profits in a year, and no profits are coming in as yet. The discipline to continue when nothing makes sense. I think the discipline to execute when maybe something has never been done before. It's actually you're trying it for the first time in your organization. The discipline of even disciplining your spirit to say, or to yield your spirit to say, this is doable, even though everything else around me is saying no. Just that discipline alone, I think it's such a big word. So
Yeah.
It's a word that we need to kind of like be on the lookout for, to say, okay, how do I intentionally get things done daily? How do I cultivate a culture, a habit of getting things done? Because it's in doing those little small things habitually, daily, religiously, that ultimately is to something that is bigger than you. And when you look back, you're like, okay, so every day I walked a mile, and this mile is adding on to like a lifetime journey, and you are adding to something towards your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Precious, I like what you say. It's the everyday setting, doing the smaller things as you move on. And I remember what you've just started. You're saying it's a vision. You have the vision already. It's now working into disciplining yourself to do the smaller things and execute as much as possible. And I think that's where most of us miss it, because we lack the discipline to follow up on the smaller things. We already have the vision, we have the dream, but we keep on just planning and never moving the small steps, which is absolutely wonderful. I love that. I love that. Pressure, let me just take a few of the comments that we've done. Natalie Pesha from the UK, you're welcome. Says hello, Precious.
Hi,
We have
Natalie.
Viola. Hi, thank you so
Viola.
much. I like what Natalia said. I love that Africans, we are dynamite in our own way. Beautiful statement. That's very true. I like also that statement. What is the name of your book, Precious?
I've written Breaking Forth. We have a magazine. We should be having the next issue available this week. We have done a piece on entrepreneurship and also on young women that are waiting on marriage. Yeah.
Awesome. Then still the same, that is true. God is the one who gives you wisdom, and then others help you execute. That has given clarity. Then we also have Viola, amen. Thank you. Then we have the rain. Learning, execution is a discipline to get things done. Absolutely. And then we have Ozzy saying tuned in. You're most welcome. I'll say karibu. Karibu usually is the Kenyan word saying welcome. So if you hear that, just let's move on. Yeah, at least you've learned one Swahili word from Kenya. Anyway, now, yeah, so I mean, Precious, I mean, great discussion we're having here. But why is execution important? Why is it important? Why do everyone here who is listening today, why should they take it very seriously?
It's very important for us to execute, and not only execute, but execute well. I believe that this is a platform of believers, right? We are called to dominate. We are called to occupy. We are called to subdue the earth. And we are not called to mediocrity. I remember one of my pastors would always say, mediocrity is overcrowded. Precious. Everyone is there. It's like chickens. They're just walking on the ground like everybody, but take it a little bit higher. Take it a little bit higher. So I believe that it's important for us not just to have visions, but also execute them well. And in executing them well, we then are able to influence. We are then able to bring, even if it's monetary influence, even if it's our voices that we carry, where decisions that matters are valued. It's all those things. So I heard a quote yet that says, a perfect plan, poorly executed, will fail. A lousy plan, well executed, is often successful. So I believe that execution is important because it's important for us to achieve the intended goal at the end of the day. Then we won't be wasting our time if we have a goal that we set to achieve and we don't execute well. Then we have wasted time, we have wasted resources, we have wasted an opportunity. And I'm a firm believer in that. I remember one of my mentors would say that God would never waste a prepared vessel. If you get yourself prepared, you get yourself poorly, you don't prepare yourself right, you miss opportunities. So when you execute well, you don't know who is speaking on your behalf or what testament is coming out of that. So it's always good to have policies, to have a process that makes sense, that gets you the results that you want. If you know that you are not good at a certain thing, acknowledge it and get the right help that you need so that you achieve the intended goal. Don't settle for mediocrity. Settle for something that is bigger. So I believe that for us to be successful, we have to clearly and be intentional in executing the right things that we have to get the intended goal. Actually, there is a goal that you're set out to do, and we should be intentional in executing properly so that we are successful. You know, it's painful for us sometimes to look back and you're like, I wasted 5 years of my time. You look back and you're like, yo, I wasted 5 years of my time.
Exactly.
And sometimes you're like, I could have done things better. I could have done things differently, but I wasted my time on things that don't matter, where I could have maybe reached out to other people that could have helped me. So it saves you time. When you execute properly, when there's a strategy for execution, it saves you time. You get to the intended destination in a shorter space of time. You don't need to go in the wilderness for 30 some years when you can just get there in 8 years. So I believe that executing things properly exudes wisdom. There's wisdom in us executing things properly.
Absolutely. I like that. I liked what you started by saying, Precious. We become dominant. You know, we dominate our spheres of influence when we execute well, which is something that people don't realize. Because if you're not executing well, and just not executing, but executing well, then how do you dominate your sphere of influence? Whatever sphere you are, is it music? Is it ministry? Is it business? How do you execute well? Which is most important. But also another thing I realized when you were talking is also impact. Execution is impact. It creates an impact on whatever you do. Because how will people know? I mean, if we were never ever to execute a program like this, how will people know about me, about you, about Incubator, about even things that we are talking about here? And also another thing is execution attracts the right people. I didn't have those points. I just got them as you were talking. When you're executing, you will attract the right people. When you have no plan, you attract people who have no plan. When you have a plan, you attract the people, the right people. So even in business, in ministry, if you keep on executing, however small, I like what you said, Precious, in the beginning, however small, you will attract the right people. As you're singing somewhere, someone will notice there's a person singing, then they will actually get you to work with them. That's the only way, because we have to keep on doing what we need to do. That, Precious, absolutely. I really, really love our discussion. Now, a good question that Natalie is asking. Yes.
I wanted just to add, Ivy, and say that there is a verse in the New Testament, you know it. It says that whatever you do it as unto the Lord. Whatever you do. So as godly people, you are running this platform. Whatever you do, you ask yourself, have I done it as unto the Lord? If God is to be asked at this very moment, will he be proud of what I've done just now? I think it helps in us executing, because sometimes I think people sometimes we feel like, no, let me do it like this because anyway, it's Ivy, you know, but at the root of our spirits, it should be embedded in us that whatever you do, if it's speaking, if it's preparation, do it as unto the Lord. It doesn't matter that it's Ivy. It doesn't matter that it's Viola. No, you do every bit of it, because at that moment of you executing, you attract the right people along the way. It's in the execution that will take you to the next stage. So when something is properly executed, I feel like it's a stepping stone to success. You are headed somewhere. When you execute, it speaks for you. You know, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we wait and we say opportunities are not there, but opportunities are there. If you execute well with Ivy, then there's a global platform. Then my opportunity that I got from Ivy will speak for me because I've executed well. So whatever we do, even if it's a small little thing, you deem it as small or big, but at the core of it, do it as unto the Lord.
Yeah, yeah. And Precious, I said that I remembered something someone kept on telling me. When you see people at the platform, and people are clapping for someone at the platform, there are many times behind the scene, they have actually clapped for themselves. They have done it so well behind the scene. Now they're actually going out to the platform. So always prepare when you're actually at the back of the scene, as much
That's
as
true.
execute well in the private, you'll
That's
execute
true.
well in the public. If you're not
That's
able to
true.
be happy by what you've executed, then you will not be happy when you take it out. It's just that way. It's a very interesting thing. And that's the way you keep on attracting more. If you're in business, I always say, even if you're selling to one person today, sell
Yes,
it to them as if there is no other person. There are
that's
like
true.
20 of them.
That's
Then
true.
from there, you will be preparing yourself to actually execute for 100 people. Always
That's true.
preparation. Pressures, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So pressure, preparation is gonna be very key for us to dominate in whatever we do. Thank you so much, Precious. Yeah. So a question from Natalie again. What tips would you give if you are more committed to the execution, but your team is not? What is the best way to get them on board? Good question. Good question.
I remember one of the strategies we did that I've also tried to implement in when I'm engaging different people, like they call it play to win. I think one of the local authors here in South Africa read it. Or I would also want to say maybe playing according to people's strength. Sometimes there's certain languages that speak to a certain kind of people. So if people are not pulling up their weights, it might be because there's a certain language that they are not hearing that they should hear. So you play according to people's strength to get the best out of them. What languages speak to them? Because when the right music is played, someone will dance.
Yeah.
When you do something that speaks to someone will dance to it. So I feel that you need to be able to understand your team that you are working with, understand who is on board, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. I believe in just giving people a chance. If there's need for correction, then you are actively like saying, I think if you had done it better, in a respectful manner that leaves them not wounded. I've seen some people when they are trying to engage people or correct them, they want to break them so that they get the best out of them. But personally, it doesn't speak to me. I don't think that people should break me for them to build me. The language that I hear more is the language of positivity. So if you pick one of my strengths to say, no, I think Precious is good in this, speak more into that language and you see the best. I even thrive. So I believe that maybe one of the things that Natalie, you can maybe just identify is that do you have a team? And if yes, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are you looking at? So that you can get everyone involved. Because at the end of the day, for there to be proper execution, you need to have a team that is united, a team that is willing to have the same goal. And because also we are different people, there might be differences in achieving those goals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people are bad. There's just a different way of getting to it. And what are you willing to compromise to get the intended goal? And I think I would speak to some of the things a little bit later that I've written down here.
Yeah, yeah. I like that, Natalie. I mean, team dynamics are very, very tricky. But I always say, as a leader, then you start looking at yourself, what Precious has said, looking at yourself, who you are as a leader, understanding even your own, strengths, weaknesses, and also the team weaknesses and strengths, then identifying them as Precious has said, and then getting them on board. But we'll keep on discussing that as we go on. Yeah, thank you. So from Ozzy, she says, don't settle for mediocrity, settle for what is big. I love this. Thank you, Ozzy. Now, how can we be more effective in execution? I think that's one of the things that you realize that we always have a problem in execution. If you're having 2 or 3 businesses, then it becomes even harder. For women who have families, for men who have families, I mean, you're trying to juggle all these things. How do you make sure that you're becoming more effective in execution?
I think it's important to have clear decisions. So maybe I just just wanted to touch in a little bit, if this can help Natalie as well. We have some of the hindrances to execution. What hinders men from execution is the weak strategy. If the strategy is weak, some people, you know, they have this thing clearly set in their heads that it has to be done in this way. And I've realized that sometimes we have not really started what we are supposed to do, and then it fails to appeal to the right people that we want to sell it to. And then it becomes weak. When they look at it, they're like, no, Precious, I think you can do better than that. And that speaks more to the preparation. And then so the hindrance is to what hinders men from execution is the weak strategy, the ineffective training, the lack of resources, lack of communication, lack of follow through. So that speaks then to like then what makes strategy successful, I guess. So for execution to be effective, some of the things I noted down was you make decisions that are clear. You hold meetings that resolve issues if there are issues that arise during the process of executing. You have strict quarterly objectives. You make long-term decisions. You have some accountability. You account to someone even outside of your comfort zone to just say, Precious, I think you can do this better. I think maybe this was your blind spot. You hadn't seen this clearly. I think just tweak it a little bit and just it might just appear differently. So I feel that we can be more effective when we have clearly defined decisions that are properly communicated, relayed to the team members, to the managers or the stakeholders that we need to execute with. And have meetings wherever possible that addresses issues when they arise. Have objectives, you know, peg them. If they are weekly objectives, if they are monthly objectives, if they are quarterly, if they are yearly objectives, and make sure that you are doing them. And what is it that you are also doing daily to contribute, and that also feeds into the week, that feeds into the month, that feeds into the quarter year, or the half year, and the year, and so forth. Yeah. I think those are some of the things I had listed down.
Okay, amazing, Precious. Sorry, I will have a background noise, but don't worry, it will settle. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, Precious, wonderful ideas. I think one of the things that we struggle is the how to do it. But I think what you've broken down as it, you know, planning, having weekly meetings. I like accountability. I like stressing that accountability is very, very key. Most of us run our lives or run our businesses without much of accountability. So you're not sure if you're doing well or not. So accountability is one of the things that helps you to know that you're executing well. Have someone that even if you can tell them, this is what I need to do in first quarter of 2021. Could you ask me in March what I've done? That is all. That person will just be accountable. They'll be asking you how far you're going. And you realize that you're moving at speed because there's no one. I mean, there's someone actually looking out and asking you what you need to do. So ask about accountability as much as possible. So our last question, Precious, execution, should it be left for the leaders only? Because I realize that especially if you're running a company, what happens is you have yourself actually saying, this is what you need. You have the vision, you have the dream. Sometimes even you have the how then you need to execute. How do you bring the team together? Because that's usually a struggle for most of us. Even at home, is your team at home? How do you bring them together?
I think for me, I always believe in the balance. I believe in balance. By this, I mean that I don't think it should be left for leaders alone, execution. I think there are some decisions that can be centralized, and there are some decisions that can be decentralized. But the culture of the organization, the heartbeat of the organization is you. And I feel that every now and again, it's important for us to go down to the people that we work with and just get their feel, their hearts, where they are, you know, tap into that and understand what it is, you know. And when you appeal to their emotional needs, you are able to engage them even on their work needs because you have valued them. So I feel that the people that actually then execute, it's not entirely the leadership. It is the people that are on the ground that then they are able to execute what is in your heart. But then it's a continuous process where you engage them deliberately to say, we are here, this is what I have in mind. And sometimes you'll be so surprised that you would have maybe just even narrowed your thought process, or maybe you have even limited yourself. And when you throw it in a bigger audience of the people that are not leaders, that are actually people that do things on a day-to-day basis, you are amazed at what you can get from them. So I believe to an extent that when we execute, there are things that done centrally, you centralize, and there are things that you should be able to decentralize and delegate and allow others to run with it. But as they run with it, let your culture, because you carry the DNA of this thing, let your culture be embedded in these people, actively engage them, have these continuous meetings with them so that they replicate who you are. Don't abandon or relegate everything to them and leave it to their discretion. Sometimes you'll be shocked at what might come out. So there has to be, I think, wisdom as to what it is exactly that you have to delegate, what it is exactly that you have to do. And of course, not being caught up in doing daily things that you should not be doing anymore. So there's need for, I think, wisdom in execution. Who does what? When do we account? When do we outsource? When do we have periodical meetings? What can we improve? Are we playing to people's strength? Who is sabotaging the team? Yeah, so I don't think it's entirely for the leaders only. I think it's for everyone. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. I like that. I mean, next week we'll be talking to a wonderful lady on leadership. So we'll pick it up and see how we can do it. But I like what Preshev say. You have to keep on delegating. People who execute are the people down there. So if you're having issues with execution, then you need to ask yourself what the problem is. So Natalie is asking, and Natalie, thank you so much for being proactive and just asking questions. Would you formulate the objectives yourself based on your vision, or would you develop them together with your team?
Remember, we started with the part that write the vision down and make it plain, right? So the vision is given to you. The vision becomes your culture as the founder, as the visionary. And then you embed that in the team that you work with, different stakeholders, depending on the space that you are in, as a social entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, as a leader. So you replicate your heart to the people that are working with you. And I believe that sometimes it makes sense for you to have clearly defined goals that are clear to you, that speaks to you, that speak to the core of the things that you run, that speaks to your value systems, right? And then when you share them with others, with your team, get an input to say, okay, this is what the framework of what I have, but then factor in their considerations as well. But when you factor them in, they shouldn't deviate you from what you believe in, what is your core and your main thing. It should be able to actually then take you to the next stage and evolve you as an organization and evolve and grow as an organization. It should be something, when you factor it in, it should improve overall the organization. So I don't know if that makes sense, Natalie.
Yes, I'm sure it makes sense. Yeah, but I mean, wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much. Ezekiel, you're welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. Just as we wrap up, before we have the last talk, I'll want to do just a bit of announcement for something that we're coming up with. As we said last week, we have what we call Biashara. Biashara is business. Now, EcoBiz Entrepreneur Cohort 1 that is coming in. This is this is one of the things that we're working with one of the circles in Kenya, an organization called Woven, and ourselves, just to make sure that every person that comes into the program can actually have an exit plan in terms of getting where the money will come from. So EcoBiz will provide the money. Woven and Incubator Nestab will actually support you with business assessment, idea development, management, and focusing on the right customers. Everything in what happens in your business and everything that you need to understand in your business. So if you're able to do that, please sign up. We have a link that we'll provide later on, and also in our website, in our website and a social media page. Please sign up and also include that. The deadline is at the 15th of February. So come join us. So Precious, as we're just finishing up, what is your parting shot to everyone? What would you say in a nutshell is the power of execution?
I think that get your team involved. It should be clear in your head what needs to be executed, communicate it to the right people, have the right team on board. If you have to outsource, do that. It's important. You know, sometimes when we are honest enough with ourselves to say, I'm not good at this, let me rather get help from here. Do that, because at the end of the day, when you start off to do something, you should only progress. I really believe in progressing. You should aim to win, aim to succeed. And like I said before, that mediocrity is overcrowded, really overcrowded. So when you execute, to make sure you are executing excellently. When you deliver, make sure you are delivering excellently. And when you have a team, make sure that you are playing to their strength, play to their strength. Identify what speaks to them, get them on board. And your culture as a person who got the vision in the first place should never be diluted. You can encompass other people's opinions and decisions and things like that, but you should never be diluted. And whenever possible, delegate, decentralize. But there are certain things that you should never delegate. You should never decentralize. They should still remain your baby to do. So continuously engage people, speak to their emotional needs. As you grow your organization, I've seen that it makes so much sense sometimes just sit and listen. And there's no one who is the least in your organization. Everyone is equally important. So engage them as if they matter. They are human beings too. They have feelings. But ultimately play to win. Play to win. The sky is the limit. Actually, there are no limits. Just play to win.
Limits.
No limits, no boundaries. Play to win. Mediocrity is really, really overcrowded. We are just born to conquer. We are born to dominate. We are born to occupy. We are born to subdue the earth. And as we run our entities, let's take over the mountains of influence. It's important that our voices be heard as godly business people. But otherwise, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really humbled. I'm grateful. May God continue to bless the works of your hands, Ivy.
Amen. Amen. Precious. Wonderful. Mediocrity is overcrowded. You have emphasized that, and I totally agree with you. We have to create dominance in our spheres of influence. That cannot, the only way we'll do that is by execution. Execute. Everything that you have, the visions you have, the dreams that you have, just put them down, execute them. However small they are, do it well as much as possible. You will move forward, And so don't be shy. Fear should not actually make you not execute. Do it. You will keep on adding, you'll keep on working with people that can help you understand your vision and dream, but you have to keep on going. Thank you so much, Precious. Let me just read Petro. Thank you so much for attending. Good stuff. Thank you. Apollonia, thank you. Learned a lot. Thank you so much. Wendy, mediocrity is overcrowded. I agree with you. Viola, awesome. Thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you. I've learned a lot. I won't miss again. Thank you so much, Ozzy. You're most welcome. Thank you again for attending. I really, really appreciate you all. Let's do it next week again. Next week, we'll be talking about leadership. I have a wonderful lady I'm going to be hosting talking about leadership. We've talked about execution. Now, how do we do it in terms of leadership? Because now we need to start having dominance in our spheres of influence and businesses. Now, how do we make sure that we are good leaders? So thank you again for attending. Please share with the people that really did not attend. Give them this link and they'll be able to, learn more about what we talked about. Thank you again and have a good afternoon.